4 a.m. on a morning in November of 1973. The alarm just went off to wake me up so that I can get the car to the gas station and stand in line or sit in line in the car for gas. We are in the second month now of the Arab oil embargo, and we have long lines at the service stations. I have to get up early in the morning because I'm a college professor at a local college and I've got to get to work in time. But also, if I wait till the afternoon, the gas station tanks may be empty. My license tag has an odd number on it, so this is my day to get gas. If it was an even number, then tomorrow would be my turn. The Arab oil embargo has resulted in a severe shortage of petroleum products in the United States and, of course, much, much higher prices. Oil prices have gone from $3 a barrel to $12 a barrel. Of course, gasoline prices at the pump have gone up significantly. This came about because the United States backed Israel during the Yom Kippur War and supplied military supplies and equipment to Israel. And as a result, OPEC has retaliated by embargoing oil and cutting off oil supplies to the United States. We have seen several changes as a result of that. For example, speed limits on the interstate highways have been reduced to 55. And of course, the long lines now at the gas stations. The chart here shows the price of a gallon of regular gas over the years. First of all, in nominal prices, which means the prices as they existed in dollars at that time, given whatever the purchasing power of the dollar was. And then in the right column, we have adjusted them in terms of 2026. For example, in 1973, in the end there, gas prices were 39 cents a gallon. In today's equivalency, that would be the same as $2.71. But within a few months, in the early days there of 1974, gas on a per gallon basis went up nearly 40% to 0.53 a gallon. That would be $3.31 today. So you can see it's the equivalent of a 60-cent per gallon price increase from 271 to 331. But we also noticed that in the later part of the decade there, 79 to 80, during the Iranian Revolution, when Americans were taken prisoner and hostage there in Iran, gas prices at the beginning of that were 86 cents, jumped to $1.19 in terms of nominal figures. In terms of today's dollars, it would be the same thing as $3.66 to $4.46. So the prices jumped in that first period there nearly 40%, and increased by an equivalency of 60 cents. And we noticed that in the 79 to 89 peak during the Iranian Revolution, gas reached almost a world high and remained kind of the gold standard. In terms of today's dollars, there at the peak, gas reached a high of $4.46 in terms of today's dollars. It was in nominal dollars, it was $1.19, but if we would translate it in terms of inflation for the purchasing power of the dollar today, $4.46, which is higher than what we're seeing nationwide average right now at the end of 2020, at the end of March of 2026, of say $3.93. So gas prices today are high, but in terms of purchasing power of the dollar, they have been even higher. Our situation today, of course, is not happy. We are seeing a 28-cent jump in a single week here in March. And nominal prices are at record highs. And when we adjust them for inflation, they're not quite as bad as what we saw there in 1980, but they're getting close. Looking around Florida, the most expensive gas is currently in the Fort Lauderdale area, about $3.97, and also West Palm Beach. The lowest areas are found up in the Crestview, Fort Walton Beach area, up in the Panhandle, at about $3.63 for a gallon of regular. Of course, the national average has jumped by over $1 per gallon in the last 30 days, a really sharp jump. The drivers in this, of course, are higher prices for a barrel of oil, $114 as of Friday, up 50% in the last month. And of course, it's the geopolitical problems with the war in Iran that's the problem here. In a national context, Florida's average is slightly below the national average of $3.98. Our average here is $3.92, a little below. Because of special rules and high taxes and so forth, California has the highest cost for a gallon of regular gas, $5.84. That's over $2 a gallon higher than the national average. Hawaii is also expensive at $5.33. Again, that's about $1.74 higher than the national average. Washington State, $5.30, down to Alaska there at $4.57. So basically, Western states tend to have higher than national average price per gallon of gas. The lowest prices in the nation right now in terms of a gallon of gas, Oklahoma, $3.25, which is a petroleum producing state, and nearby Kansas at $3.27. Iowa is also close by at $3.31, and Arkansas, which is in the southern area there, along with Mississippi, $3.39 and $3.50. So less populated states and more centrally located states tend to have lower gas prices at the present time. So far, the only problem that we have had with gas has been an increase in the price. We haven't had a cessation of supply yet, but gas is vulnerable. Gas is always in motion. Whether we're taking crude oil out of the ground, it has to be transported from where it is extracted to the refineries. And then after it's been processed into either gasoline or diesel or whatever, it then has to be transported again to where it's going to be used. And there's all forms of distribution involved here. There are ocean tankers. We use ocean tankers here to supply domestic produced and refined petroleum. And of course, there's railroad cars, and there's trucks, and there's pipelines. There are so many transportation modes that are used with reference to petroleum products, and all of these are vulnerable. It's a mystery to me why Congress cannot get its act together and approve funding for Homeland Security. If we ever needed Homeland Security, this is now. These are vulnerable facilities that could very quickly interrupt the supply, even if it's domestically produced. Not every town has a oil refinery. Not every town has an oil well. These are far apart, and transportation is required from extraction to refinery to final use. There are pipelines, trucks, and so forth, and all of these are vulnerable. So these are the kinds of things I'm concerned about. Having lived through 2 times already in my lifetime when I have seen a interruption of the supply of oil, I'm very much aware of what can happen and some of the consequences. Well, that concludes my report for today, and please hit the subscribe button, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time.